Evening class, today we'll be discussing the Cuban Missile Crisis. What was the Cuban Missile Crisis? The Cuban Missile Crisis was a 13-day standoff between the United States and the Soviet Union in 1962. The Soviet Union had put medium-range and intermediate-range ballistic missiles in Cuba, putting the United States in threat of nuclear attack in their own backyard. These missiles in Cuba then led to a naval blockade around Cuba, preventing the Soviet Union from bringing more supplies. Here is an image of the missiles in Cuba. Here is the range of all the missiles that were placed in Cuba and what the blockade looked like. Cause of the Cuban Missile Crisis. After World War II, the United States was launched into the Cold War with the Soviet Union. Each nation had been completing espionage missions on each other, leading to more and more mistrust between them, or between the former allies. The Soviet Union had lost faith in the United States after the nuclear bombs were dropped on Japan to end World War II, and no word was told to them, causing a fracture between the allies. During this Cold War, the United States placed missiles of our own in Turkey, pointed at Russia, leading to them to place their own missiles in Cuba, pointed at the United States, bringing both nations into the brink of nuclear war. People involved. During this time in 1962, the United States was led by President John F. Kennedy, a member of the Democratic Party who spent most of his presidency during the peak of the Cold War. He was also known for his failure of the Bay of Pigs invasion in Cuba to overthrow Castro's new communistic government. On the other side of the earth was the Soviet Union, led by at this time by Nikita Khrushchev, a very popular leader bringing some reform to the USSR. He was also responsible for the launch of Sputnik. Finally, Fidel Castro was the new communistic leader of Cuba, who had strong relations with the Soviet Union and victor of the Bay of Pigs invasion, causing a great deal of embarrassment towards the United States for its failure. Here's an image of John F. Kennedy, Nikita Khrushchev, and Fidel Castro. Conclusion. The Cuban Missile Crisis lasted 13 days and seemed to not have an ending in sight. There was a naval blockade still around Cuba and missiles pointed at the United States. With negotiations between JFK and Khrushchev, they were able to end this crisis with the United States silently removing their missiles from Turkey to avoid embarrassment, and the Soviet Union removed their missiles from Cuba. With that done, the naval blockade was able to return home, and when the world was the closest ever to a nuclear destruction, cooler heads were able to prevail, ending a 13-day period where the world didn't know if each day would be their last. Here are my sources. Thank you.